What's up, everybody? Super gloomy day today in California. It was just hot, like summertime hot for Easter, and now it is, I guess it rained all night, so the freeways are wet, the roads are wet, and of course we don't know how to drive in this type of weather, we don't know how to handle it, so that's what's going on. But this morning I'm on my way to work, and I want to talk about like work in general, kind of how people were feeling and like the general mood of a large group of people post-pandemic. Is like, really, what's the point, right? And I see all of this stuff that's like, oh, people don't want to work and blah 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 blah. But it's like, for me in California, my take is based on where I am. I don't really know other places, whatever, but my take is just about where I am. So in California, if you are making less than like $30-$40 an hour, you're not really like, you're not really doing well. I have to say 40, right? Because I made 30 before, and it was like, it was cool, but I couldn't really do anything with that money. Like, I still couldn't buy a house with that money and have a car and have food. Like, that was my highest level of like surviving. Okay, I'm having a decent life, I can pay for my apartment, I can pay for my car, I can pay for food, and like I can go out every now and then. That's what $30 an hour did for me. So I feel like it would have to be like 40 or 50 to really change my life and make it to where I could afford a house and possibly like one child. So with all of that, knowing all of that, and then the tax rate, right, is super high too. So, you know, the higher you go up, the more you need to compensate for what you're being taxed, because it's not really going to pencil out. Like, your take-home pay is still going to be dismal. So keep that in mind for the rest of the conversation, how much money you really need to not even thrive, but to live decently and have a stable through line of, I can afford food, I can afford gas in my car, insurance. You got to have insurance in California. I can afford the basic things to survive and not be like month to month with it. They're saying people don't want to work. A lot of the jobs are paying $18, $20. I'm sorry. If I have to wake up every day, have a car, have a place to wake up and prepare to work, what's the point for real? Like, you're giving me enough money to sleep somewhere and to come back there. That's it. And to keep doing that. I get why people are quitting. I get why people didn't want to work. I was off work for like 8 months during the pandemic, and I've never been happier. My relationship was better. My relationship with my family was better, because you actually get to be a full person. And in that time, I realized that like a lot of things about regular life that I thought I just hated and didn't like were not true. I hated the fact that I had to wake up every morning, go to a place for 9 hours that I didn't really want to be, that has nothing to do with me as a person, who I am, my future goals in life. Like, I'm just coming here for money, so I can have a place to stay, so I can have food, so I can, you know, drive, and maybe on the 2 days a week that I'm not forced to be here, I can have some sort of, you know, experience. It just seems crazy when you think about it in those terms. And I know older people be like, oh, this generation is spoiled, and all they do is quit. But it's just, what really is the point? My grandma got a house in 1993 for $60,000 in California, in Southern California. That's not happening anymore. For those people, there was a point to go to work. Like, things were getting accomplished. For us, there's nothing really getting accomplished. To the point now where you know that this is true, because the companies have come up with products and services to adapt to this new financial environment. We have Afterpay, we have Klarna, we have all of these things where you can pay in 4, pay in 5 for mundane ass things, clothes, concerts, stuff that you should just be able to afford. And if you go back in time and you look at like the proliferation of credit and how that just became a thing really in the 70s and 80s, like credit cards and all of these things, largely people are living in debt, and that depresses you too. Like, oh, I have these big old bills hanging over my head, and there's really no reprieve from it, and I'm still not really living a meaningful life. Like, I'm just getting by. How do you expect those same people to be fired up and excited about going to a job? It just doesn't make sense. And people try to argue, like, I work with a lot of small business owners, and one in particular, I won't say his name, but he's like, why should employees get to make all of this money? Minimum wage is not meant to support a person, and of course the business owner should make more because we're taking the risk. Like, sir, Nobody's trying to snatch the capitalism from your cold, old, crispy hands, okay? All we're saying is, for us to live and to make enough money to come back and forth to this place that you want us to work to help you and your family, because, you know, you took the risk and took a loan out or did whatever and started this company, and now you get to kind of sit down and chill and tell other people what to do all day for your job, and you make the most out of everybody because you took the risk. So these people don't deserve to have an apartment. These people don't deserve to have a decent quality of living while they work for you because they weren't meant to survive off minimum wage. How does that even make sense to you? So I got tired of going back and forth with this old, you know, stuck in their ways individual, and I had to tell them, okay, put it this way then. The rent is high. The rent is getting raised every single year. You as an employer don't want to raise wages every year because you feel like your business isn't keeping up. You won't be able to make the same amount of money, blah, 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 blah. You know, because it's really out for self. The rest of us you can care less about, you feel like we don't deserve, you know? Okay. Talk to the landlords then. Because they're the reason why we need more money. A one bedroom in California, like $1,500. More in some places. Like I know people live in downtown LA and they're paying $2,000, $2,500 studio. Talk to the landlords because we wouldn't need this exponential amount more money if they weren't raising our rent every single time they could. And then housing and all of that too. Like you might as well just throw that out the window. If you're a certain age in California, you don't have your parents to like throw you in some cash for that down payment, you're not getting a house. You're just not. It's not in the cards for you. Get over it unless you're willing to move the furthest away from civilization and jobs and all this and have a 2 to 3 hour commute every day. It's not going to happen for you. And I'm saying that as a realtor, like as a licensed California realtor, it's not just going to happen for you. I knew so many people when I got my real estate license, oh my God, you're a realtor, like I want to get a house. And none of them make it past the loan officer conversation because they simply don't have it. And even if you are robbing Peter to pay Paul and paying this $3,000 rent, you don't have it to pay for a house because it requires a down payment. It requires other things. It requires property tax. It requires all these things that you're simply not making enough money to pay. I had a state job for a long time. We had meetings about the money and all these things. Oh, the state jobs pay hasn't been raised since the 70s. Like that pay scale stuff was made in the 70s. Haven't got around to raising it. Like, what can you really do? What can you do about that? And then the rise of automation and AI is going to take even more jobs. People aren't prepared for that. They just unveiled the first fully automated McDonald's. And earlier this month, or last month, they shut down for a week all the corporate offices, everything about McDonald's, because they were probably in talks about this. Like, how can we get rid of these people? Because robots don't get sick. Robots don't need days off. They don't need FMLA. They're not going to talk to me about the minimum wage being $15 and now we need it to be $20. They're not going to do that. We could lease them. It's going to be tax deductible. All of these things. Like, why are we worried about people anymore for these jobs? Like, Japan has been doing it robot style. We need to get on their level. That's going to further drop the bottom out of America, right? Because people with less opportunities, with less education, usually go to these jobs, and that's kind of how they make it. That's kind of how they survive. If you've been paying attention since the mid-2000s, like I'd say 2007, 2008, it's been grown people working at the fast food restaurants. It's no longer like a teen after-school job type of thing. And even that, when people try to argue that, oh, these part-time jobs are for teenagers and all that. A teenager has to be at school. Excuse me? A teenager can't work sun up to sundown. McDonald's is open 24 hours. A teenager can't do that. So stop it with that whole logic of, oh, these jobs were for kids. No, they're not. You're intentionally creating an underclass because it helps the profit margins. That's what it is. Grown people work at Panera. Grown people work at the movie theater. I remember I applied for a movie theater job at LA Live when I was going to FITM in like 2009, 2010. I go to the interview because it was paying $16 an hour. In 2009, that was that was a lot of money. Go to the interview, it's all grown people, old people in their 30s, 40s. Because they recognize opportunity and they need the money more than me. They actually have bills. They have kids, they have families. I walked into the interview, I wanted to cry sitting on that bench because I knew I wasn't going to get the job. I didn't even want to go through with the interview. There's no way you're picking me, like, on my first, second job over these grown people, all this experience. And that's just not what happened. So it's very hard for me to sit and, like, think about things and look at things objectively without noticing that the pay is causing this problem. people don't want to work and be tied to these situations and just be drowning in bills. They don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And like, don't even start on the whole, it's meaningless to you, you really don't like this. Like, I have no interest in any of the jobs that I've had ever. Like, my most interesting job was me working at the library and fitting for my student job. And, you know, you can't do that for the rest of your life. You graduate and you can't work there. No. None of these jobs in finance, in banking, in trust accounting, have I had any interest at all outside of me getting a paycheck and me wanting to go home as fast as possible. As fast as possible. The remote work things, like they're trying to scale it back, which depresses me because it's like, just let us go. There's no reason you have us sitting in these offices all day like lab rats to type on a computer. We barely see each other. We barely have meetings and all that. And then even then there's Zoom, there's phone calls, we don't need to be here all day. But y'all make it like that because it's like, oh, it's a job and we want to watch you and you need to be accounted for and all these things. Do performance. Do it based on performance. If I'm behind in my work, if things aren't getting done, sure, I might have to come in. Like a child. I'm going to have to come into the office because you need to keep an eye on me, see what's really going on. It's not being efficient. Other than that, there's no reason. You would dramatically decrease all these bills. And there are all these arguments on the internet for and against it. So I don't even want to really get into it. But like for office jobs, general office jobs, there's really little to no reason people need to be in there. So you make it even less attractive, even worse for a person to want to come every day. And have like, I don't feel like I really noticed it until I was like mid-20s and I realized like, oh, I've sold my 20s to these companies just so I could survive, because like my parents don't have money, my family doesn't have money for me to go out and like try things, find myself until I found a job that I actually liked or enjoyed. And then that's kind of few and far between too, right? Because those jobs, like I applied for a museum curator, it was paying like $18 an hour. I can't survive off that, but at least it would have been a cool job. Like I would have had a decent time. No, can't do it. So you work and you work and you work and you miss out on just regular life, being a person, having experiences. And it just dramatically, I've noticed within myself, it dramatically changes my overall mood on the day-to-day. I don't want to be bothered. And I always say, kind of as a joke, but it's 100% based in truth, I've just been somewhere for 9 hours doing what I don't want to do in a place I didn't want to be. And now I'm home and like you want to talk to me, or you want me to do more things, or you have more tasks I need to do at home, chores, wash the dishes, clean this and that. Like, miss me, leave me alone. At what point am I going to get to be myself and do the things I want to do, or even have the time to wrap my mind around what that is when I'm on this little wheel? It doesn't make sense. It's very annoying. And then they're like, oh, have a hobby, this and that, have a side hustle, all of this because capitalism. Like, when do you really have time to do a hobby? When I get home from work, I'm so tired, like mentally tired, because I don't have a physically exhausting job. But I'm mentally tired, I'm mentally annoyed. I don't really want to be bothered. A hobby, like, you got to be happy, in the mood to do a hobby. And I'm just not. And then Saturday and Sunday, really only Saturday, you get to recover, because Sunday you're anticipating going back to work. So I don't know how people in the system, with all those facts, can still be like, oh, people don't want to work. Oh, I don't understand. You're not living in reality then, because it's very easy to understand. And then the fact that we have 5 days on, 2 days off, it blows my mind. And I know labor unions and all of this and like the workers' rights movement and stuff fought for us to even get this, but it's still. And then people talk about having a family. You want me to have a family? When? When do I have time to see them, to be around them? Because I go to work, basically I'm getting ready for work by 6:15 a.m. Got to be here 7:45. Got to travel here, got to commute. Then I'm here basically until 5 o'clock. I get home, let's say it's 5:30. Okay, settle down, park my car, figure out what I'm going to do for the evening. 6 o'clock. 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 4 hours in the evening for me to figure out, get my clothes out for the next day, eat something, cook something, decompress, maybe talk to my husband, maybe, and get ready to do it all again the next day. There's no time for a family. There's no time for a child. There just isn't. And if you force one in, then I'm going to be even more tired and more miserable and more you know, unpleasant to be around, which is going to affect my relationship with not just my husband, might cause divorce. It's going to affect my relationship with my child. Because as much as I might love my child and want to be there and all that, I kind of don't want to be bothered by you when I get off work either. You know, like, when is the time for you as a person to be a person? I'm just not seeing that. I don't get it. And I feel like people are stupid, downright ridiculous, saying like people don't want to work. No, people want to have lives. And I see all these people on TikTok in worse situations than me. Like, they already have done all the things. Like, they have a house, they have a family, and they're on the verge of a mental breakdown, crying like, I just want to break out the matrix. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Oh, I don't know what to do. I gotta take care of my family. Like, I really don't know. And it's sad because the other generations don't relate to this. Like, my grandparents don't relate to this. My mom and dad kind of, like, they're on the cusp of it, but they were still like, oh, you know, you have a job, so you can have a nice life, and you can blah, blah, blah. But it's still like they didn't want to do it. But they were just doing it because of status quo. I think my generation and below are on some, like, I'd rather just suffer. It is what it is. You know, those are the people that don't have real responsibilities, a family, different things. They just don't want to do it. And then, like, the intense jealousy that I feel when I go out for lunch for my job and I see people in the shopping center just carefree in the middle of the day, like with their kids, husband and wives, couples, like, dang. And it makes you feel like a bad person, almost, at least me. It makes you feel like a loser because it's like, damn, what have they figured out that I haven't figured out, that I have to go to this stupid ass job every day just to survive bare minimum? Like, what is out there? I'm trying YouTube. I have a skateboard brand. Like, I'm trying different things, but like, my goodness, how did you guys figure it out? I feel like such a scumbag because I cannot figure out how to make a mere $5,000-$6,000 a month without having a job. Like, I'm really stumped. And then there's a whole market, I feel, dedicated now to this because people know that, so they exacerbate that pain point. There's all these get rich quick master classes, and follow me and come to my meeting, come to my seminar, subscribe to my empowerment group, my text chain, whatever, these wealth groups, so we can try to get money. And it's just a ploy because that person has figured it out and they don't want to work, and they can make money off of you giving them $17, $50, $20, whatever, to join their masterclass for them to basically be a motivational speaker. And then everybody on YouTube, like, are clickbait through the roof with these, how to make $5,000 in 20 days, how to do this, how to do that, how to make money fast, all this. And you guys watch it, people watch it because everybody is desperate for a way out. And there's like, the truth is there really isn't one outside of you cracking the code on some sort of business, figuring out how to sell and scale on Amazon or something like that, like automation type businesses, and being an influencer of some sort and doing that, which is also a job, which I also see people get burnt out and get sad and tired from that too. And then it's not sustainable or so it's just like, there really are no concrete ways to break out. If you know something, let me know in the comments because I'm really, really desperate. I'm 30 years old. I would love to try to have a family or do something. I'm married. I've already checked all the boxes, but the money box is the biggest box. And I'm not about to put myself to, in my opinion, a life of servitude for others, like coming to work all day, going home, being on the clock with the kids and the family. I'm not going to do that. So what really is the reprieve? What really is the escape route? What really can be done to ensure that I can make $5,000, $6,000 a month, a bare minimum living, without having to come to a place I don't want to be every day, doing things that are really meaningless to me in my personal life? People talk about subsistence living and all of that, but I feel like, and this is just a theory because I don't know, right? And I don't know anybody that has done it. If I were living on my land, check this Hammerland playlist. If I were living on my land, growing enough food to sustain myself and my family, and like maybe a little extra to sell to get by paying the bills, I would be infinitely happier than staring at a computer all day, like counting other people's money. And they make it seem so like unsophisticated, mundane, or whatever, but just on my personal happiness, waking up every day, what time I want to wake up, working on my own land, doing things that will directly benefit me, seems like a much better way to spend my time, my family's time. Even down to My husband and I not get to spend a lot of time together because we both have jobs. We have conflicting schedules. If we got to live on the land and just grow plants, grow food, maybe he's building stuff on the side. Maybe I'm sewing stuff on the side. Like, you know, the old-timey Little House on the Prairie style life, maybe that would be better. And we would spend more time together. And we would produce a stronger family unit than people that, like, I was a latchkey kid that go to work all day. And you come home and it's like, did you do your homework? Did you eat? Did you clean your room? All right, go to sleep. Because in a couple hours, I gotta wake up and do it again. It seems like that would be a much better environment for a family. Maybe I sound crazy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But the whole career, worker life, worker bee situation, it just seems futile. It seems like a waste of time, energy. And you're only making enough money to survive. Like, you're at the end of the day at retirement, if there's even Social Security for our age group, what really are you going to have to show for it? Especially if you always had to rent and never could buy. Like, what's going to be the point? I don't want to have to be buying shit off Klarna when I'm 70. You know? Like, make it make sense, America. Because at this point, I really feel like, especially as a black person, a person of a certain socioeconomic standing, I should just leave this country and let y'all do what it do out here so I can have a happier, easier life somewhere else. Like, where they care about people with families and there are social services, free college, free daycare, free health care. You know, the basics that you need to survive as a human that aren't just being ruined by the insidious nature of capitalism. A whole bunch of countries, European, the ex-European Union, sound much better, much more friendly environment than here. Just saying. My dad has been in Africa for almost 10 years and he's happy. He never wants to come back. Like, I get it why people are leaving. I really get it. And most Californians just flee to the south. Like, they flee to Texas. They flee to Arizona. They flee to Atlanta. But now those places, because of that, have risen dramatically in price as well. So, like, where it's going to be the new escape for a Californian. People move to Vegas. Like, I'm not going to Utah. I'm not going to Iowa. I'm not going to Middle America at all. So if we can't do the coasts, then we need to exit this whole country out because it's of no use to me. Hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. All right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Give me solutions. Give me some money schemes, plans, businesses. Promote my skateboard line, NRK. Go buy something, NRK. Shop NRK.com. Because the job shit about to take me out, you know? Not in a good way.